And because we're talking about we get to be the church here today, I want to look at youth in crisis. I'm going to invite Pam Langseth to come up and share a little bit about this amazing opportunity we have as a church to respond. So if you want to put your books down now permanently until you go home, that would be great. And Pam's going to come up. Pam and Tom live in Excelsior, been with us about 10 years or so, and she served faithfully right now on our Open Hands Foundation team. So we have a foundation, and a foundation allows us to have dollars come from people outside of our community to make a difference as we build bridges into the community. And they work diligently to identify some of these needs in our community. And I'm just, out of curiosity, I'd love for everybody here to know the process you guys went through to select the project you're going to be talking about today. Give us that update. Good.
So the Open Hands Foundation seeks to really meet felt needs in our community. And we got together a few years ago and started out by doing some research about what was and wasn't happening in the community. We took a look at the Vision 2020 report to understand what the research that group had done. And we started taking some of those kernels and went out into the community and talked a little bit more with leaders to understand what were the issues. A year ago, we brought together a group of experts that deal with youth, and we brought together the law enforcement in our community. We brought together leaders that work in youth development for Treehouse and Young Life. We brought together nonprofit leaders that are operating in youth areas, and we brought together counselors and social workers from our schools, all to talk about what it is. Through that process, we identified the need of what we now call teens in crisis. That group was able to share with us that each year there are many children that are without a place to sleep at night here in our own community. We all thought, oh, that happens in other parts of the city. No, it happens right here. And law enforcement specifically told us that each night when they drive around the community, they might pick up a child or a youth somewhere between 10 and 17 who doesn't have a place to sleep that night. They drive around with them in their squad car all night because the only place they can take them is down to 22nd and Hennepin. But kids want to stay in their community. The next morning they want to go back to school. So they drive around all night with the kid in the car. They can't put them in jail because they haven't broken the law. And the next morning they deliver them back to school. Well, why is this happening? In families, all of us have times of trial, and there are families that are going through significant things like mental health issues or chemical abuse or unemployment or marriage issues. And that starts to rub off on the family and on the kids. And the kids start to have challenging relationships with their parents and the adults in their lives. And the parents either kick them out or the kid leaves because they need something different. And so they go out and they look for a place to stay. Many times it's in our homes, right? You might have a kid called couch hopping that spends a few nights in your house, but for 3 to 5 kids per high school per night, there is no place to stay. When we heard all that, we knew we had our first need that we had to address.
Yeah, I was at that meeting when the officer told that story, and honestly just pierced my heart. I just couldn't imagine that we had homeless teens in our own community. And these kids don't want to go down into Hennepin, and there's nothing in Carver County. There's nothing to meet that need. It's an unmet need. I go, could we as a church meet that need? It seems like a big need, doesn't it, for a church to take on? But I go, with God's power, we can. And this team, your team, has worked diligently on it. So tell us about that next step and the project itself that's before us.
All right. Well, I'm really excited to talk about the fact that we've created an emergency shelter for youth, and it will be opening in November of this year. We have a 3-way partnership between the Open Hands Foundation, Westwood Community Church, and the Bridge for Youth, which is the organization that runs the shelter down on Hennepin Avenue. Westwood has graciously offered to provide the Hope House for use of this ministry. For 2 years, it'll be a pilot project. We know that in 2 years, we're going to find a permanent spot for this shelter to be. And so we are going forth in the belief that that will come true. Westwood will provide the house as well as the general maintenance. The Open Hands Foundation will provide all of the resources in terms of volunteer and financial support. And then the Bridge for Youth is going to do what they do best, which is work with these kids. They do 2 main things. First of all, they meet their basic needs. They give them a warm meal, a warm bed to sleep in, a friendly face of an adult that they can build a relationship with, a shower in the morning, and then a ride back to school the next day. But then they also meet their bigger needs, which are things like, how do you repair relationships in your house through counseling and social work? What kind of physical or medical needs do they have? How can we address those through medical treatment? And we do all of that together with the Bridge. There'll be a 24/7 phone call line. There will be 6 beds available 24/7, and there will be counselors and social workers on site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through this concept.
Okay, I'm going to ask Rick if I could have the Hope House back up, because many people are new. I just want to land this for you. This is the home that you see when you come in on the 78th Street entrance. That's our home. And we've used it as a mission home. So when missionaries on furlough or in transition, they'll stay there for a month or 3 months or even up to a year. We've used this home, and it's been full almost the whole time we've been here. And it's been a great purpose. We're going to carve out a parenthetical pause, and we're going to give this space in partnership with Bridge to begin to meet this need of homeless teens in our community for 2 years. Isn't that an amazing opportunity we have? We can do this together, for sure. Pam, just for many of our lay leaders, I'm just struck by vision and passion and just rolling up your sleeves, and you've done that. And where does that come from? Why are you so drawn to this?
God has richly blessed me and my family. We raised our 3 kids in Excelsior, and they were the beneficiaries of a wonderful, wonderful community. And 10 years ago, in 2010, I decided to leave the business world, not knowing what I was going to do. But I ran into Joel 48 hours later, and Joel reeled me in. And we started.
Don't run into me if you're in transition.
Yeah, right.
Or run into me. I got a job for you.
Actually, run in. It's fun. So I got involved in the Vision 2020 task force and started to learn a little bit more about the felt needs in our community. And I was really shocked to find out about this homeless teen piece. And I thought, here we are in a community really of plenty. Why in the world do we have kids that don't have a warm place to stay at night? Yeah. And I recognized through that my 2 younger sons actually each had a friend who experienced this while they were in high school. And our family had been approached to help these kids, asked to have them spend a couple nights, and we thought, no, we had things going on, it just didn't seem right. As I did the research, I realized these kids were fending for themselves. They were having to find a place to stay, they were having to find food, and it just broke my heart to think that they didn't have a solution. So I knew I had to get involved and help create this solution. So that's what we're doing.
Well, your vision and passion, God is using it, and we get to benefit from that along with your whole team. I mean, there's a lot of people working along with Pam. And if people want to learn more about this specific project today, how can they do that?
We have a table right outside the worship space. There are people from the Bridge for Youth, as well as myself and a couple others from the Open Hands Foundation. We can tell you how you can get involved, and we'd love to have you a part of it.
Isn't it exciting to see what's going to happen? Let's give thanks to Pam, her leadership. Appreciate it, Pam.